fish are using the lateral line to steer themselves and not bump into each other and stay into that tight group. And if you look at our shark and our stingrays, they also have a lateral line, and that's going to help them find food out in the wild. Now at this time, I'm going to anticipate a question you guys might have, and that is, does the shark eat the fish in here? Are you guys wondering that? It's a good question. And I'm going to answer that and say, not really. So the honest answer is, he does sometimes eat some of the fish in here. But face it, if you put me in a room full of Skittles, I'm going to eat some eventually. So you can't blame him for wanting to eat these fish. He is a predator with instincts, but let me tell you something pretty cool. I've only seen it happen a few times. And the reason why he doesn't eat the fish in here all the time is because he's so well fed. So they actually eat, our sharks eat 3 times a week here at the Florida Aquarium. So that's going to be pretty often for a shark, because a shark out in the wild can go a couple weeks, even a month or so between their meals. So 3 times a week is pretty often. So because he's being fed regularly, he doesn't feel a need to predate on the fish that are in here. But as I mentioned earlier, what's neat about this process is anytime I've seen it happen, it's never ever been a fish in the middle of the school. It's been the stragglers, because as you look at this big school here, you might see some little fish kind of darting out, or some that really haven't quite gotten the message, like that one. Keep an eye on, see, he's like, oh geez, I messed up, took a wrong turn. So as you were looking at this group of fish, do you think a fish in the middle of the school is going to be easier or harder to catch? It's harder, and then the little guy that darted out and was all by himself, that's going to be a much easier meal for a shark. So you're actually seeing the effectiveness of swimming in a big school like this. Now another reason why the fish are doing this is to save energy. So in contrast to our sharks are going to be very efficient swimmers. They don't have to eat all the time. Well, they think something's up there. Because they don't have to use all that energy. Now, there might be some pellets going up at the surface. This is actually pretty cool to watch. So now you're seeing that they're really moving fast and they're still staying in that group. So speaking of feeding, these fish eat actually more like you and I do. They eat around 4 times a day. So what will happen is they'll just throw some pellets out on the surface. Now as you can see, these fish are really busy, right? Always moving, they're really busy little bodies, they have high metabolisms, so they use a lot of energy. So it's going to take a lot of food to keep these little guys going. And there is some floating at the surface there. So as they go up to take that food, everybody else is kind of getting the message, so they go up there to eat. So in order to help them save energy out in the open ocean, because they can be hard to find a lot of meals, they'll actually swim behind each other all the time. So an analogy I like to give is something that does this on land. Have you guys ever seen geese migrating before? Yeah? What shape do they make up in the sky? That V, yeah? And they make that V for a very important reason, because it's going to help them rest as they're traveling. So the goose at the point, or the tip of that V, is using the most energy because he's pushing the most air, and all the geese behind him are kind of flying in the slipstream, so they don't have to worry about using as much energy. Now what's cool about that is they actually take turns as they migrate to help save energy on each other. And the same idea applies right down here in the water. As our fish are swimming in that tight school that we saw earlier before they got excited about fish, and they're still doing it.